Super Amazing Wagon Adventure is an arcade-style side-scrolling shooter from Sparsevector that bears a similar theme to Oregon Trail, although it has more of a focus on action and less of one on realism. To expand on that point, Wagon Adventure features a number of weird and wonderful side locations that you have a chance of visiting each time you play, and a lot of the accompanying narrative I found funny. In spite of a marked and frankly distressing lack of dysentery, the game still carries with it the kind of challenge you'd expect from a wagon adventure, and fortunately the gameplay handles a lot better than the lurching click-and-drag fuckery that Oregon Trail so brazenly taunted me with. On the less fortunate side of things, it lacks a lot of the depth that Oregon Trail coquettishly hides behind its awful GUI. Strategy is largely reduced to random pickups and the very occasional trade, for which you'll likely have too few scorpion hides. What this does mean, however, is that everything in Super Amazing Wagon Adventure is delivered at a fast and consistent pace. The foremost concern of mine with regards to the gameplay is that a lot of elements repeat. Obviously the stages will be in the same order, with the exception of the random bonus stages, but even they have an air of predictability even after a couple of hours of gameplay. You will still be discovering new content beyond that point, but not before your seemingly benign deer hunting and skunk avoiding expedition is waylaid by machine gun toting bandits for the 8th consecutive time. There are some cool unlockable wagons, but using them imposes a rather harsh health penalty, so you'll probably end up sticking with the original, and so the game runs the risk of making your experience feel pretty samey after a short amount of time. Super Amazing Wagon Adventure does everything other than that pretty well though. The music works well and the CRT effect is convincing enough that I once considered pointing a light gun at my monitor to see if it would work. Of course, if the CRT effect reminds you too much of the living space you used to not have through owning a television with all the discretion of a paparazzo taking pictures of Lindsay Lohan disembarking from a car, then you can turn it off in the options menu. Fair warning, the game music is loud as hell and the very sparse voiceovers, usually a single word, are loud as still, very distorted and entirely unnecessary. An unnecessary yet very welcome addition to the game is the surprisingly generous character creation options, which you can quite easily use to live out your fantasy of former Soviet leaders embarking on a spiritually enhancing road trip to the deep south. For example, incidentally, playing as Stalin fending off his inner demons after a bad mushroom trip was a personal highlight. I would say that Super Amazing Wagon Adventure has enough content to make it more than worth the money if you include the survival modes, and that it's a fast-paced and enjoyable game for under £2 that you should enjoy at least as much as Oregon Trail. But unfortunately it can't decide between buffalo and bison during the desert stage, and so it's dead to me.